Welcome back. Welcome back. I'm your host, Travis Reed. Welcome back to An Athlete's Journey. I got a special guest over here, my boy KG. He is a fellow lefty like me. You know what I'm saying? We grew up playing against each other in college, probably in high school, you know. Went to the same teams overseas, you know, just at different times. So I just wanted to get his story out because, man, he's another one of these California legends, man, that the story needs to be told because me and him has a very, very, very similar journey of college and then overseas life for a long time. And now, you know, y'all don't mess with him. You know, he part of the law who'll shoot you. so me and him, we friends. We good friends. Say what's up, Kay.
What's up, everybody?
All right, we're going to get right into it. Yeah, okay, man. When did your basketball journey start?
Man, I would say about, if you're talking about from the beginning, 8th grade is when I really got serious with it. And then moved out to grew up in Inglewood, moved out to Bellflower. And Bellflower just paved my way there, man. Started off as the chubby little freshman kid, you know, about 5'10". Came back, you know, put in the work that year in the summer. Came back about 6'4", stayed the same weight, got a little more athletic, and from then sky was the limit, man. Started hooping, started getting notoriety and playing against bigger name players like yourself, you know, other people around our age and around the area. You know, you got Jeff, you got, you know, all the Bellflower being a little out, you know, more towards the suburbs, but you're still right there with Compton. You know, Artesia was in the league. You know, got all the schools. So, you know, I made the decision. You know, they were trying to get me to transfer to Artesia.
Of course. They wanted everybody to go to Artesia at that time.
But at the time, you know, they had James Lee, they had Kevin Daly.
Yep. I actually went there for the summer. Like I went there my whole 8th grade summer. I thought I was going to go there, and then my pops moved, and so I ended up going to Crenshaw. That's how it happened. I went to Artesia the whole summer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, my whole 8th grade year going to 9th. I played with them, played them all the summer leagues, worked out with Charles O'Bannon, you know, right before he went to UCLA. He used to dunk on me every day, you know. So, but yeah, Marino and all them, I know he was mad when I left. He was mad when I left, but like it was just no way. I was getting at school at like 6 o'clock in the morning, just sitting outside the front.
Yeah, that wasn't it.
Yeah, that wasn't it. So I wasn't.
I actually didn't stay too far. It probably was about a 20-minute ride. But at the time, I just decided, you know what? You know, I'm gonna stay put, try to make a name for myself here. You know, the ball, you know, Artesia, the ball. There's too many hands on that ball, right? You go to that Bellflower, I can get a lot of touches. But then we end up, you know, being a cool squad. I think did Flowers play with you at UCLA, Jason?
No, he was after me. He came after me.
We did all
right. I was at UCLA for the 2 years, and I left and went to State, Long Beach State.
The tough part for us was being in Division II, though, because at that time, when all the schools, in my opinion, the best schools was in Division II. I think Crenshaw was
one. They was Division I. Crenshaw, modern day Division I.
Yes. All right. So we must have moved. Now, when we played y'all, I don't remember if it was the summer league or if it was in the playoffs and we moved up and got spanked. But you wasn't there at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
No, I mean, look, Crenshaw was dynasty then, you know.
Right.
You know, so like from 8th grade to senior year, they won, you know, 5 city, 4 state.
Yeah.
And the 1 year I left is the year they didn't win, and then the next year they ended up winning it back to back. You know,
it was
I talked to Kevin Bradley. He was like, "You could have won 4 state and 4 city." You know, but anyway, any other sports that you wanted to play?
I dibbled and dabbled in football a little bit, but never really got serious. I think my high school coach kind of nipped that in the bud with my mom. He was like, "Nah, you know what? This is his future. Basketball need to, you just go ahead and put the football to the side, because a lot of people don't know my sophomore year, actually, when I was attempting to play, broke my wrist playing. So I had missed like a little part of basketball, and it kind of happened 2 years in a row. So it was like, cut that out. Right? Was kind of like, nah, you know what? That's it.
I got you.
And he was picking me up for school every day. So my mom was like, hey, if that's what he think, that's what we rolling with.
I respect that, man. I remember I was out playing, and then I got broke up once catching the ball like wide receiver, and broke up at my leg. I was like, oh no, yeah, this is Literally, that was like, I'm gonna do the season. And that's it.
Different thing for us tall people, man.
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah. Like, forget that, man. Okay, so you're at Bellflower, you're doing your thing. First, you grew from 5'10" to 6'4" in one summer.
In one summer, bro.
That's crazy, by the way. I know your parents kind of hated you because they had to probably just throw away all your old clothes.
Man, my mom's, actually, my freshman year, that summer, actually, when I grew, I actually got a summer job and was doing, because I wanted the certain Jordans and the clothes and everybody. My mom was like, man, you growing too fast. So I actually, from that summer forward, I was pretty much summer job every summer.
Okay. Now I got you on that. That actually makes sense. At Bellflower, what was your most memorable moment at Bellflower?
Story, playing Artesia.
Mm-hmm.
They always used to talk mess before, because it was in our league. We knew it was either going to be us or them, right? And so I think it was how it used to be. The JV team used to play away when you were home, right? So I think our JV team was playing at Artesia, and all the Artesia dudes was just talking mad stuff before they came over to play us. It's like, KG ain't gonna do. They used to call me Baby Shaq, so they was like, Baby Shaq ain't gonna do. It's like, Shaq ain't gonna do none of that. And I was like, they came back, gave me word that they said that. I think I put up like 36, 16, and like 7 on them, because they came back blowing up. That was one of my best games. And then when we played against what was it, Harvard Westlake with the Twins?
Yeah, Jason and Jan. Yep.
Yeah, and I think that's what put me on the map with UCLA, because we actually played them at Pauley Pavilion.
Oh, okay.
I gave them the business, and that's when Romar started recruiting me.
Mm-hmm.
That's long story short. That's how I ended up at Pepperdine, because Romar went to Pepperdine. So I was like, then he got Tommy Prince to transfer in, Jelani Gardner, Oma Gibbs. So I was like, man, I'm rolling with you.
Right. Yeah, he sent me my first letter when I was like in 8th grade, 9th grade to go to UCLA when he was at UCLA. And then they won the national championship, and then he left to be a head coach, after they won the national championship in 95. And so I was just like, man, Roman, why'd you leave? But, obviously he went to Pepperdine. He was at Pepperdine when you were there.
Yeah.
Because I remember Romar was there, and then Paul Westhead was there,
Yeah. Paul Westphal actually came.
Paul Westphal, sorry.
He came the year after I left. We actually, when Romar left, we had Jan Van Bredikoff. Came from Vanderbilt, the old Butch Brink, the old Laker coach's son.
Okay.
Yeah. So we had him, and when he came, we was balling out, because, no knock on Romar, great coach, but we kind of changed the style a little bit, and we was up and down, pressed the whole game, down 20, up 20, we pressing the whole game. And we ended up that year becoming the number 2 team in the country behind Kentucky in defense. And so we was rolling, man. We made it to the tournament. I think we played Indiana in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
Jay Guyton was leading the country in scoring that year, and my boy Tommy Prince put the handcuffs on him, and I think he had like 3 points that game. We kind of gave it to them with Bobby Knight. And then we went after that. We played Oklahoma State when they had with Desmond Mason.
Yeah, I remember. We played them.
Losing to them by like 7 or something like that. But that was probably our best run.
I remember that year. Like I said, that was my transfer year. I remember y'all went to the tournament.
Yeah.
I just
cool, because we had 4 we had 4 lefties with a right-hand point guard, so it just made everything.
I remember the one dude went to the NBA, the 2 guard, the shooter.
Brandon Armstrong.
Yeah, there we go. Armstrong. I remember that. I was like, oh yeah. So what was the biggest difference, from high school to college, in your opinion?
As far as who?
Yep. Or just lifestyle, everything.
Lifestyle, being on your own, being able to do what you want to do. You balancing class with hoop, and then from a basketball standpoint, just the physicality. Like I was going in, the little kid. Well, not little kid, but I was like 6'6", 6'7", like 190 something pounds. So I had to put on some weight because my opportunity was going to be, at power forward if I was going to start, right? Mm-hmm. Then I ended up getting kind of screwed because the clearinghouse, man. So when I was in high school, I only had took 3 years of English, right? So I ended up taking a course at a JC at Cerritos, right? And so for every one high school unit, it's supposed to be 3, and the third. I mean, for every one college unit, it's supposed to be 3 in the third high school unit. So instead of them giving me 10 high school credits, they gave me 3 credits. So on my transcripts, it made it look like I only had 33 units instead of 40 need, right? So I didn't get cleared by the clearinghouse until we had 6 games left my freshman year. Right?
Wow.
So I am not finna waste a year for 6 games. And the team was doing shitty too. We were like, I think that year they finished 6-21, bro. And so I was like, "There's no way." So Romar was like, "No, we gonna sit you. We gonna fight to get that year back." And then, that next year, everybody that redshirted, because that's when we had all the transfers, right? We had David Lalazarian, we had Tommy Prince, Oma Gibbs, Jelani Gardner, and then the top 2 players at Pepperdine the year before had actually medical redshirted. So they was out, and then I was out. So everybody that was out, like the next year, it was a whole new starting 5, and the first 2 off the bench was like everybody that redshirted. So we came back and we did pretty good for ourselves. I think we made the NIT, and then the next year is when we made the tournament.
Right. Okay.
Just the difference, just a physicality standpoint, trying to put on weight and still do what I was used to doing.
No, definitely, man. I remember every day when I was in high school, I was the guy or whatever. And then like you go to college, everybody was the guy. And for me, I was going against Chris, Jelani, and JR, but I was going against JR and Henderson every day.
Right.
So he was just, he was a pro. He got drafted by Memphis, but like it was like, because he was 6'9", he could dribble,
wow.
He could shoot it, cross, he could elbow, dunk. Chris was a psycho. I already knew Chris was this psycho. You know what I'm saying?
Chris Johnson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We went to high school together at Crenshaw and then college together one year at UCLA. But he was like my big brother. Like he was just like, that's just him, psycho. Like, he go from 0 to 100. JR just calm and just give you that work.
That quiet 30.
Yeah, just quiet, just up, jumper, layup, hook shot, up and under. It's like, dang. And Jelani was just dunk on your head, that's what he was like, every day. So like the difference between like high school and them was like,
that's a huge difference.
Yeah, right?
You walking into multiple McDonald's All-Americans, like all-world high schools. See, I was walking into, I didn't have that when I walked in. Everybody, well, obviously, Oma and Jelani was, but they transferred in the same year in different positions, right? And ended up working out though. Me and Oma ended up battling for the starting spot at center. So I ended up playing center because our power forward was from Carson. Brian Hill, he was legit. And,
okay, I think I remember him. I remember him too.
He was legit, bounce, good post game. But practicing with them every day, and then we had got Big Nick Shepard, who had transferred in.
Yeah, I was like, y'all was like the West Coast UNLV or something. Or West Coast, a bunch of transfers.
So for me being 6'7" and I'm practicing against those guys every day, you know, Nick 6'11", 7 feet, almost 6'11", 7 feet. It prepared me for sure. Like
Yep. That's us. I remember those. I remember that. I remember that team.
Yeah,
like I said, I remember going against you in the Sano. You know, we used to go against each other in Sano all the time. They were like, these niggas.
My first time playing against you, I don't know if you remember this. I want to say it was, I don't know if it was a high school summer league game or if it was an AAU game. And at the time, because you a year younger than me?
Yeah. Because I'm 97, you 96, right?
I was like, man, they was like, man, we playing against Travis Reed team. I don't remember if it was high school or AAU. And at the time, I didn't know you, right? Because you were younger than me. And I was like, oh, and I was watching you on warm-ups. I was like, oh, shit, okay. This is about. I don't remember who won, but it was a good game.
Yeah, no, I remember. I was like, they was like, yeah, look, he was older than me by a year, and they was, oh, that's, you know, Kevin Gibbs. They call him Baby Shaq. That's how I remember this called Baby Shaq. You know, I was like, oh, okay, and he left-handed, so I was like, okay, you know, he different. You know, he different than what everybody else be. You know, so I was like, okay, he got some skill. Left-handed, nice touch around the basket, can shoot a little bit, everything.
You know? Similar game. It was a similar. It was like you said, we had a similar game, had a similar path.
Yep. So you go to 4 years of Pepperdine, right? Yep. So what's the next thing after that?
So I actually met my wife in college at Pepperdine. So I moved up to the Bay Area, started preparing. Actually, I signed with the same agent that Tony Kukoc and all of them had, and like most of the European cats that was in the league had. The American agent from that company was a guy named Herb Berdoy out of Chicago. So they had big expectations, right? You know, they flew me to Chicago, you know, did the whole presentation, the limo. We went here, we went there, and they thought I had a shot, right? So they was like, we're going to get you on this summer team, get you on that summer team. But the word that was coming back was I was a tweener, right? You're not really a four. In college, you was okay to play the four, but when you get to the league, it wasn't. We didn't have the Draymond Green era. You know what I mean? It was like I tell people all the time, if we would have had,
we was right now, we'd be in the NBA making millions, bro.
Had our opportunity, right? But at that time, I think Malik Rose was like the only cat that was 6'7" playing power forward, right? So it was like we didn't. It was like, all right, he's not a power forward. We didn't really see him play a lot of small forward, so he's not. We don't know if he can guard quick enough to guard small forwards, right? So it was like they was like, nah. So then that's when we started looking at overseas squads and a couple squads that I was offered in the beginning. It was like Lebanon, stuff like that. Well, I was like, man, I'm not going to. Are you crazy? Right? So I was like, man, I'm not going over there. So I ended up signing to like 3 months into the season for overseas, and I ended up going to a squad in Belgium. Right? So I went to I think the team was called Hassel, you know, over in Belgium. Went over there, I had a decent year, and then after Belgium, I went to France. Played in Pro B France that next year, and I destroyed that, man. I think I averaged like 26 and 15. It was MVP of the league, and so at that, and then that's when I started getting all the Pro A looks, right? Tez, where they had the brothers. One of them played for Golden State, Beatrice.
Oh, okay, yeah. The oldest one, right?
Boris Diaw was on the squad at the time.
Okay.
He was young before he went to the league. But I didn't end up signing with that team. I signed. So the manager of my team that I played for in Pro B had played for a team, Limoges, who in the history of Europe and EuroLeague was one of the biggest squads at the time. Right? They was just building themselves back up. So I went to that squad, did all right. Then from there, I think I went to Israel Yeah, I think I signed again in France, but then I left and went to Israel. And Israel balled out again. We end up that was the first team that I played for that played in the Europe Cup.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We talked about that the other day in the Europe Cup. And then we had Maccabi Tel Aviv was in our league, right? I played in Tel Aviv, Hapoel, and Maccabi at the time they had Yeskevicius that was at Maryland, played for Golden State. Had Maceo Basson. They had Anthony Parker.
Yeah, Candace Parker, older brother. Me playing the NBA too, though. So yeah, I remember him. I used to watch them, man. You know, because they was like, this dude is real.
He was like, they treated him like he was Jordan in Europe, bro. They used to call him, he had billboards everywhere. It was like, I was like, man, who is this dude, right? I was like, is that Jordan, a light-skinned Jordan or something, the way they treating this cat?
I think because they won the EuroLeague one year. They won the whole EuroLeague one year. So that's why they was like.
But he ended up doing well when he came to the Cavs. He was balling.
No, as I said, he averaged about 12 points for Cleveland. He played with LeBron.
Yeah.
But they was like, I remember they were just talking about like my ex at the time. She coached his sister. Okay. And it was like, oh, they was like, you think he nice? His sister is real.
Yeah.
Candace Parker, right? And it was like, oh, she's 6'3", she can handle, she can shoot, she can dunk, she can do everything.
That was the first when I was playing against him, I heard about her, and I was like, okay, let me check Tennessee, and she was killing.
Exactly. So you did. I mean, obviously you were in Maccabi. I mean, not Maccabi, but Hapoel Tel Aviv. I remember they had when I played against them. They had this guy from St. John's. I can't think of his name, like a scorer. Anyway.
Hapoel did Tel Aviv or Hapoel Jerusalem?
Might have been Hapoel Jerusalem. One of them. I know we went to Israel to play in like
they had Cup. Avery Williams was on that squad.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, it might have been his team. I have to look it up, like because it's in the FIBA Cup. Like if you look it up, we can, I can find it.
Talking about Kamani Friend.
Yeah, okay, might be his name. I don't remember the name.
I don't remember where he played at college, but he was decent.
Yeah, they had a squad. We beat them. I was shocked. We beat them. Like it was my last year. It was like 2004, 2005. Because you wasn't there no more. One thing.
No, I was in. I think I might have been because I was in Tel Aviv in 2005, and so Jerusalem was in the Europe Cup. It was us and Jerusalem that was in the Europe Cup.
Yeah, we didn't play you obviously, but yeah, we played another team. And we played another team in the Europe Cup. So I remember that. I want to rewind a little bit back to college because I never got a chance to ask you what was your biggest triumph in college. Was it going to the tournament?
Yeah, for sure, man. That was when we had a team that year where our coach was just straightforward with everybody. Mm-hmm. So he was like, look, I'm a firm believer that for a team to succeed, everybody got to have a role and they got to know their role, right? So at the time, he was straight up. He was like, look, Brandon is probably going to be our leading scorer. Kelvin's probably going to be our second leading scorer. He's more likely going to be the leading rebounder. He's probably going to get the most minutes because I used to play D, right? Me and Tommy was probably our top two defenders on the squad. And so we had that everybody knew their role. Nobody tried to do anything out their role, and it worked out, right? We was pressing, and so we went. I think that year we ended up going like 25-9, and I want to say that's the only year because we ended up winning league that year. So we beat Gonzaga that year, and I want to say that probably in my memory the only time that Gonzaga hasn't won league in like the last 20 years. Right.
They've been winning league forever.
25 years from what I know, right? And
yeah.
So, we ended up beating them, and that was the year where they had Casey Calvary, and they had a couple good Italian point guards, and so that's when Gonzaga had really like started becoming the powerhouse, and they were still, and Mark Few actually had just became the head coach.
Okay, so it was like the beginning of his tenure. Of his tenure. Okay.
And so then we went to the tournament, and just I think playing against Indiana and seeing Bobby Knight on the other side, on the sideline, tearing his team a new one because we giving them the business. And for us, we knew we can beat them, but they probably was like, who the hell is this team, right? And it was like, they got all these damn lefties. They all can shoot, right? And it was like, we had freedom. Like, our coach was just like, man, this is a first available shot he wants you to take. So it was like, it was freedom. We had fun. So I think that year was one of our best years. And I think we should have beat Oklahoma State, but we had some off-court issues where minutes was deducted from certain players, not myself.
So I can neither confirm nor deny anything that happened. I got you. And my second college question was what was your biggest lesson learned from college?
Man, I think now looking back on it, I wish I would have put in more time, because in high school we was putting on the time, right? Because I know for myself, if I wouldn't have put in that time and got a scholarship, it was no way that I was going to college, right? I would have probably ended up, even though I had the grades and all that and had the schedule, I would have ended up at a JUCO and had to. Not saying that that's not a route that people.
No, I understand.
But that's the route that I would have had to take, and I think if I would have put in the same work and effort that I put in high school when I was at Pepperdine, and learned how to manage it better with class and all that stuff, then I think my opportunity, I could have tried to switch to a permanent, like, small forward position, and probably had a better opportunity to try to make it to the league. So I think that's the biggest thing. Not saying I wasn't putting in the work, I was, but if I would have had that, dude, you 6'7", there's no way you're going to play in the league at the power forward position. And went to my coaches early, and them seeing me putting in the work to change to a guard position or a small forward, then I think things could have been a little different.
No, definitely. I feel the same way. I think, like, I would have went to I can tell you honestly, like, in my house, like, I was either going to college or the military.
Right.
So it was just no way in heck I was going to go to. There was no way in hell I was going to go to the military. Right. My pops is a
military kid too, aren't you? Wasn't your pops?
Yeah. My father was in the military. He was in the Air Force. Yeah. So, like, he got out when I was 8. He was in the Air Force for 8 years. And only reason he got out was because of me, But he told me, like, and I remember I was 10. He was like, look, you either gonna go to college or you go in the military when you turn 18.
Right.
But you ain't gonna be in my house. So I was like, okay, well, college it is, because I ain't trying to go to the military. You know what I'm saying? So, the funny thing was, like, Air Force recruited me. And my dad was like, well, you get a good education. I'm like,
right. Paid for everything.
Yeah, you get to go straight for the military or something. Nah, Dad. Nah.
We're gonna go this route. We're
gonna go basketball. So, all right. So you was after, and then let's fast forward. Let's go back to you were in Israel. After you finished Israel, what was the next place?
So I ended up that year. I ended up being co-MVP with Yeskavich's, however you want to say his name.
I remember Yeskavich. I remember him.
And then so after Israel, I had a cat, Clarence Gilbert, who had played at Mizzou, played with me.
Shooting guard, I remember.
Yeah.
He was with Kareem Rush when they beat UCLA.
Exactly, yep.
Yeah.
That squad shooter, can shoot the lights out too.
Yep.
That he played with me the second half of the season in Israel. So I went to Turkey. I told the team was on me. They, like, really wanted me. So I was like, hey, the only way I'm coming is if you sign my boy. So we ended up going to Turkey together that next year, balled out. We played for a team that was at the time just coming up. I think they're doing pretty well in Turkey now, but back then it was like Fenerbahce, Uka, like those were the teams.
EuroLeague teams,
yeah, EuroLeague teams. And so we used to ball out, beat those teams. I actually had a good deal in our contract that they had messed up on because we used to get bonuses for like your PA, like your PR, or the amount of points you get, rebounds you get. So man, we was getting bonus money and losing games. they tried to come back later and was like, "Nah, you got to win to get." Man, my contract don't say that. It's like we ain't out here trying to lose. Obviously, we trying to win, but my contract say this, and this.
If I get 20, I get an extra 1,000, 10,000, whatever.
We out there pretty much living off of bonuses because of the error that they made in that contract, man.
Oh, okay, okay.
And then when I left Turkey, I think is when I got my best contract. I went to Russia, to Samara. I went to Russia, and then I actually played for another Europe Cup team, and we won the Europe Cup that year. So we did decent in the Russian league, and that's when I think Seska had, who they have on that team? J.R. Holden. Forgot who they had on that team, but they had a bunch of European cats that ended up going to the league. And so I went to Russia that year. Then I left Russia, went to Greece, and anybody that played in Greece know the problems Greece have with actually paying the players what they said they was going to play the players. I was fortunate enough to, because I knew that, and my agent knew that, he was like, all right, look, if he come over there, y'all got to pay him like 3 months in advance. So that 3 months in advance was the only money that I saw in the 3 months that I was there, right? It wasn't supposed to be 3 months in advance and then wait to the fourth month to continue. I was supposed to stay 3 months in advance. So when we got to Christmas, I told my agent, I was like, man, I'm not going back, because the other Americans that were on my team at the time, they were 3 months behind, but they didn't have they didn't get the 3 month advance, so they was 3 months behind.
They were 3 months behind?
3 months behind. I told them they was crazy. I said, Christmas get here and I don't have that fourth check, I holler at y'all, man. All right, so I went home. I took all my stuff home for Christmas break. First of all, they tried not to give us a Christmas break. I was like, y'all crazy. I'm out of here. So when I got home, I had took all my stuff, pretty much knowing that I wasn't. So I was hitting the other man, hey, did y'all get paid? Did y'all got paid? They was like, nope. I was like, man. So I hit my agent up, and he was like, yeah, technically that's a breach, the contract. So I was home for like 10 days, and then I ended up going back to Russia, to a different team. And that was cool because I ended up playing with one of my college teammates, Jelani Gardner. Right?
That's crazy. Never happens. It rarely happens. Really.
It made it a lot easier because the city we was in, as you know, playing in the Ukraine, you know, and you go outside, you got 2 pair of sweats, jeans, hoodie, right? You still cold, clothes dirty because the ground is always wet and dirty with snow. And it was like, so I ended up going there, man, and it was the saving grace was obviously having him there. So it was like you having one of your brothers there with you, you know what I mean? And then from Russia, from that, I went to Germany. Germany, that was my last year. We had
I remember Ludwigsburg.
Yep, Lewisburg.
I was supposed to sign there. Yeah. But I got injured.
I know Germany is the only country, well, at the time, I don't know about now because I don't follow it, but was the only country you can pretty much have as many Americans as you want.
Yeah. Right. Holland too. Like that Germany, Holland area. Okay. Yeah. You can have a team. I played in Holland. It was like a JC team. It was 6-7 Americans on the team.
Yeah. That's how it was. Even the German dudes we have were pretty much like German Americans. Like they pretty much, one of them he lived in Germany all his life, but his dad was American, and the other one was an American that had been in Germany so long he got dual citizenship. So our team was pretty much all, even, and our coach was American too.
Okay, see, yeah, there you go. I mean, we played Lewisburg in the ULIP Cup that year before. And I was, like I said, I was going to sign with him, but I got injured. And in summer, playing in summer, trying to get back in shape. And I got kicked in my stretch fracture leg, and popped, and then it almost cracked my shin all the way down to, like all the way through. But it cracked it all the way down to the very end. And there's nothing like any surgery because I already had a plate over it. So I just had to literally just wait till all the bone heal in my leg.
Man, so you was out for a minute.
I was out for a year. I tried to go back to Holland. Yeah, I was over there. I was trying to go back to Holland for a year. And they was like, your bone ain't healed. So they gave me some money and then they sent me back home.
Yeah, I was about to say, were you able to bounce back from that? That sound like
the next year I missed the whole season. And that's when I met I knew my son's mom. She got pregnant. And that's how my son. And then I went to Romania the next year, the following year, all the way back in August. So they let me get in shape. They cut my contract, which is crazy. Like I had a contract for this amount of money. They cut it and made me sign a 2-year deal. And then they ended up releasing me. And I was like, thank you. Shit.
Right.
Get me out of here. So I literally went from Romania to Estonia and then, balled for the rest of the year.
You balled out there.
Yeah, Estonia was my spot. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Estonia was cool. I played over there and then came home and then waited till I went to Finland. And then the coach got fired or something. I forgot. And then they released me from Finland. And I came home, chilled, and went to Australia.
You played out in Australia too for
Australia was cool, man. I was in the Queensland League. It was cool. Like for the summer, came back and went to Germany. Pro B. And played in Germany for 1 year.
And what year was you in Germany?
I want to say 2011, 12.
So the year, because I stopped in 2010.
Oh yeah, it was like a year after. Yeah,
I think I remember you went there the year after I left.
Yeah, because I was like, by then, like the money was starting to get funny,
right?
And I was just like, dude, I don't want to do this. Like the money ain't worth the money, And then I went to Australia back one more year, like one more season, and after that, it was just it was through.
Yeah, for me, man, it became hard because during that stint, so I had my first child, my oldest daughter, pretty much like before I went to Belgium. So it was like I was leaving when a few months after she was born, and that was difficult, man. It was already leaving my wife, and now I'm leaving my my daughter, and then I had my second daughter, and then what was it for me was when my son was born. I think that's when I was in Germany. I went to Germany, and then at that time I was like, look, man, it's like it was already tough on my wife, with the girls, and now she got the girls and my son, and then you want to be home. Obviously, you want to be home, helping raise all your kids, but it's like now you got a boy. He definitely needs his father, right? So it was like at the time it wasn't like my family could come over there because now my oldest daughter is starting grade school, right? So it's like she wasn't going to be in school over there. So it was like, that's when I was like, you know what? I actually had a contract to go back to Turkey. And ended up, I think I was about to go to Beşiktaş and ended up calling the team, man. I felt bad, but I called the team like the day before I was supposed to fly out. It was like, man, I ain't gonna make it, man. At least I didn't just not show up, right? At least
right.
I was like, nah, but they didn't. It wasn't like they gave me no upfront money and I had to give it back. But it was like, so that was what ended for me, man.
I got you because the funny thing. We did 10 years exactly together, like just in finishing in different years. It's always like that, like I always feel like you never know when it's time. You just kind of know when you know.
Right. And then it was like at that point, because now you're starting to get homesick, right? You're missing your family, you're missing your wife, you're missing your kids, and so at that point, I was like, my love started slipping for the game, started slipping, right? Because it's like, man, I don't want to be here, man. It was like, I remember my second year in Russia, it was like, I think I left, like, because the team had already wanted to sign me to come back. We was already at the end of the season, but we wasn't going to make the playoffs. We weren't going to make the playoffs. So what the coach started doing, the coach on my Russian team actually played on the USSR team that actually I'm gonna do this, won gold against the US back in the day when they had Sabonis and all that.
Yeah, of course.
The silver medals that the US never,
Yeah.
On that team. So it was a good dude. And they wanted to sign me to come back, but because we wasn't making the playoffs, he was like, all right, look, I'm going to give you, and at the time I had Omar Cook on my team.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm going to give y'all the opportunity to go, if you want to go to another team for playoffs, because I'm going to play the young guys, right? And I was like, oh, shit, I'm going to go home. Because I was homesick, or I was like, I'm not going to go to another place, even though it would have been more money, and extend my season 2-3 more months, right? I was like, oh, I'm out. And so, but he didn't want me to go home. It was either go to another team or stay there, right? So I was like, man, I'm watching the young guys play, and I was just like, you know what, man, I'm out. I just bounced on my own, bought my own ticket. Called me like, man, where you at? I was like, man, I'm not about to stay here when I know I'm not playing. I understand what you're doing, but it's like, I'm not about to stay here. And so they still was like, yeah, we want you to come back. And I ended up signing to go back for a nice contract, my biggest contract it would have been. And the team ended up folding like a month before I was supposed to go.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I was devastated on that. But yeah, that's how it ended for me, man, with the Germany. I was like, Germany was a good time, though, because I actually played with another Cali guy, LA guy. Well, he went to Banning. So Brian Jones. Yeah, from
okay. I remember him. I remember Brian Jones.
Santa Clara, right after the Steve Nash Santa Clara era.
Yeah, little short dude, like a little, yeah.
And so he was with me over there, and so that made it cool. We was pretty much like roommates for the first month and a half before they found us all our apartments separate. So it ended up being cool. Like I said, our whole team was American, so it was cool. Late night dominoes and stuff like that. And then my family came over to visit for a good period of time when I was in Germany as well.
Okay, yeah. No, I got you on that one. That's for sure. All right. So, what was the best thing about being overseas for those 10 years? What
I would say, man, just for me, learning the cultures everywhere I went, right? It's like, because it wasn't like I went to Belgium and I played in Belgium for 10 years. Like a lot of people, they go, they get they're blessed. They get a nice contract on the team and they end up being with that team for the majority of their career overseas. But I was one that I bounced pretty much every year to a different country, right? And then playing with the in the Europe Cup teams, you travel to other countries, right? So it's like the travel, being able to see like all the different parts of the world was probably that was it for me.
I got you. What would be your best advice for like the next generation of Kelvin Gibbs, that want to go overseas and do that overseas life?
I would say a lot of people now it's a lot better. But when we were coming out, it was like we had in our mind the league, right? NBA. So when it switched to that overseas career, it was like, man, I don't want to, like, at first it was like, I don't want to do that. But then when we got over there, I was like, okay, this is cool. And then if you balled out and you start getting the decent contracts and making it really worth it, right? I'll just tell you, I went from my first year in Belgium, like 45 grand for the season, which is nothing, right? To, you know, making some money that I can actually live off of.
Let me tell you something, bro. Like 45 grand is my second contract. You know what I'm saying? Like I was in Holland, me and God rest his soul, Billy Knight. We was over in Holland together, right? I made $1,500 a month.
Yeah.
Right? And he came after me, so he made $1,350 a month. So, bro, we was going to the club, you know, spending like $40 and like, all right, we done.
Wait, it's a wrap. We done.
We done. Like, we go to the club spending $40. All right, man, let's go home. Man. Like we would be babysitting the drinks. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the cheapest alcohol? You know, oh, get this. Okay, it's like $5. Okay, $5. Done. Yeah. Done. Give me that. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, like my first year, we didn't make nothing. My second year, like I said, I made $45,000 for the year, like $4,500 a month. Yeah. And then after that, it went, you know, more and more and more. But like, yeah, that's what I said. Like, by the time I got to making like, you know, 150, 160, that's when I got hurt. You know, I was about to sign a deal, go back for like 200 for the first time. Like, oh, 200. Oh yeah. Then I get hurt. You know.
Man, see, this is the part that made me sick because when I was in Russia, my first contract in Russia was for $250, right? And then that next year I went to Greece. I had signed for the same thing. My saving grace that year is I had got in Greece, like I said, I had got the 3 months advance. So when I got there, it was like 75,000, and then I ended up leaving after Christmas and signing to go back to Russia for $250, but it wasn't it was for shorter months, right? So that was probably my best year. But what made me sick was the team that I signed with that folded was a 2-year $800,000 deal. It was 400 a year, so when it folded,
oh my gosh,
I was sick, bro.
Hey, look, man.
That point is when, obviously, with missing the family was what made me, because when you go from about to get that and then you go to Germany for 150, you like, well, 400 a year. Well, that's a 200. You think, even though it's not a pay cut because you never seen that money, right?
Yeah. But you just thinking about the money you would have made.
I'm looking at it as a pay cut. So I was like,
but Lewisburg, it was the same deal.
Right.
It was the same. It was like
I wasn't
2 years, like 170.
Right.
It was 170, and then like 175 the next year with Lewisburg, 2 years. Then I got injured. And then I read, I was like, oh yeah, Kelvin Gibbs. I was like, yeah, they get the exact same dude as me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, okay. So you do your 10 years, you retire, you know, because you just like, man, the money, yeah. So what was the next thing? Well, how was your transition?
So the first 2 years of me, so remember, I had a contract to go back to Turkey that I ended up calling and say, nah, it's a wrap. So I went from that, and my wife's dad was in law enforcement, right? So he was a police officer. And when I used to come home from working overseas, they got a nice gym, like weightlifting and stuff like that. So what I would do is, when every summer I came home, I used to go ball at the Y out here. But when I say at the Y, it was against all college people. So we had Javon Harris that used to be at USF. We had Monty, who used to be at Oregon State. Myself, and then there was a couple overseas cats. Drew used to come. Gooden came a couple times. Because where I lived in Richmond, they played for El Cerrito High, right? And so they all stuck together. And El Cerrito and Richmond is like the same city, basically.
Right.
Like LA and Inglewood, it's like intertwined, right?
Right.
We used to go hoop. What I would do is, like I would get my little 5-mile jog in. I would run to the police station, like Pops drive my car to the police station so I would run there and I would lift. They allowed me to lift in their gym, right? So I would get my workouts at the police station and I would drive back. And then I had met a lot of the officers there, through my Pops. And so they used to be like, man, so my department, it's a lot of ex-college athletes at my department.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it was like, yeah, you should, think about giving law enforcement. And so my Pops was like putting it in my ear as well. And then, so when I decided not to go back to Turkey, that's what I went into. So I retired pretty much 2010. For like 6 months, we was just living off of straight savings, right? And then after that, I applied, got the job, went to the academy, and since the end of 2010, I've been a police officer, man.
That's just crazy, man. That's a heck of a transition, go from baller to cop. You know what I'm saying?
It's funny though, because as a kid growing up, the two professions that I wanted to do was basketball or police officer. So I tell people all the time, I'm fortunate enough that I was able to do both. Obviously, my goal for hoop was the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Had a 9-10 year career overseas. That and that's still a success. And then transition into something else that I wanted to do. So I was fortunate for that.
That is fortunate, man. And this will be your last question. At one point, in everybody's career, they get hit a low point, a low. When you're overseas or whatever. What kept you going, and what was the thing that kind of kept you up?
The low point for me, probably, obviously the one that I already told you about, but that was towards the end of my career.
Right.
The one that re-motivated me, when your contracts start getting bigger and bigger, you start thinking, okay, I made it, not saying, hey, I need to just keep pushing so I can get to this level. I had made up in my head that the league, because there's a lot of cats that go over there, for instance, like Anthony Parker, and then be able to come back home and make the league. I had pretty much, all the info I was getting. He's a tweener, he's this, he's that. I was like, all right. So I pretty much put the league out of my head. But then it was like, as my contract started getting bigger, I thought that I arrived, right? And then so when I actually signed with Strasbourg in France, which at the time was one of the best teams in France, I don't want to say I didn't get an effort, but I thought that I was the man, right? And I had a really good, and I didn't put in the same work that I should have, and I got cut, right?
Oh wow, okay.
I cut. I was like, really? I was just MVP of the league last year, and so that's when I left and went to. That's when I went to Israel. So when I went to Israel, I was like, you know what? I rededicated myself to putting in that work, man, and I got over there and it was just like I'm destroying everybody, right? Because I had that nah, man, like you cut me, I'm gonna prove to you that was a mistake.
Yeah.
And so I started just balling out, and then that was probably statistically my second best year over there, and to be able to be co-MVP that year with Jasikevičius was to me it was like it made me feel good because like I said, at the time I forgot the European center that Maccabi had. He was balling out.
Yeah.
CEO over there, right? And then you had Anthony Parker. So I'm like, and then he ended up going to the league, right? So it was like I felt like that showed me that I could have played with those guys if I would have had the opportunity. Obviously, He wasn't a superstar, but he did his thing when he played for the Cavs. He was
man, like I said, if you in the league and he was a starter, like on a good team.
And he did some years too.
Yeah, so I said he signed a 3-year deal from Maccabi.
Yeah.
Because I followed him, like what was he doing? He signed a 3-year deal from Maccabi, $12 million or something like that. You know what I'm saying? And so, I remember that, like it was nothing, Like he was, I said, like I always felt like if you can do it, like you can, if you can make it, like if you can play in those like leagues, the higher leagues anyway. I always felt like they were like NBA in a way, like Spain, Israel.
At the time, Trav, they was treating that team like they was the Bulls of the '90s, man. It was like they was winning. They won. I think I don't know how many year leagues they won in the '90s for Maccabi, but it was like, all right, we took the team that's the best team in Europe. They're a year league team. To lose to them by, it was like 5 or 7 points in the final. The crazy story is, I tell people all the time, I think I told you this before, when we lost to them in the finals, right, we had barely lost. They celebrating their championship, right, and I'm looking like, me and the other American on my team, one of the other Americans on my team was a cat named Kenny Williams who used to play for the Pacers. We down there, we devastated, right? Because we felt like we had opportunity to beat the best team in Europe. We turn around, and all of our Israeli teammates, they celebrating too. They cutting the other net. I'm like, what the hell they doing? And so I'm talking. They was like, man, this is Israel. Like the best you can do is second place. Like Maccabi is it. And I'm like, oh, that's crazy. Y'all got to change the culture, man. We lost and y'all cutting nets down. What the hell is this?
I got you. They did that when I was in Germany my last year. We celebrated to stay in the B League. It was like singing and stuff. And we like the other guy on the team was Australian. He was like, dang, we came. We barely made it stay in the league, but they celebrating. The fans like, yes, we get to stay in the league. It was funny. It was like a different kind of mindset.
Hey, is that Long Beach State jersey I see back there?
Oh yeah, you know what it is. That 13 up there. That 13 up there. I have my UCLA jersey. I just ain't framed
yet. Was Steph there? Was Greenberg there?
Nah, it was Wayne Morgan. It was right after Greenberg. Wayne Morgan was there. Like I said, he was there for like 6 years or something like that. Like my year was his last year. My senior year was his last year. They kind of didn't renew his contract, but that's like a whole nother story with that.
Yeah, man, I almost ended up there, man. My did you play with Artis Curtis from my high school?
Nah, who was there with me? Rock Lloyd was there with me.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Ron Johnson. Yeah.
Ron.
Rudy, we had a bunch of transfers, you know what I'm saying? Like we would transfer you for a minute. Everybody except for Ron was the only guy that went there 4 years. Everybody else was.
He considered my freshman year going there. Seth
left
coach, right? So
he went to Virginia Tech.
Yeah, just left, right? So he was me and Jeff. We had actually played in. I forgot what was the camp that we played in at Long Beach State, and Jeff Trepanier.
Yeah, I know.
We were actually considering it so we could play together, and I forgot the other cat on our team. I can't remember his name, but we used to call him Baby Toby. He went to Gardena.
I know you're talking about. I can't think of his name. No.
Yeah, Bounce.
Yeah, I know you're talking about. I can't think of his. I'm not good. I'm terrible with names.
Toby Bailey.
Like
Toby Bailey.
No, right? But no, man. Well, like I said, thank you so much, KG, man. I appreciate it, brother, for taking your time out. I know you're a busy man. For coming on the show. Like I said, I know you got to get to your practice. So just want to say thank you so much, bro. We appreciate it. We're going to bring you on again and maybe talk some more ball. You know what I'm saying? Talk some more overseas basketball. We got to get more people like yourself on it.
For sure. I appreciate you, bro.
All right, bro. I appreciate it. Like I said, thank you for watching the show. We appreciate it. We'll be out. See you next